Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Opijana Vallabha Kiravari Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Prayadha Prayadha Jayam Sva Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Pavajakacharya Asata Sata Shri Srimad Abhay Charnavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Sva Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Pavajakacharya Asata Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Nanta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shivandavan Dham Ki Jai Srimati Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Me Ki Jai Yamuna Me Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad-Bhagavatam, the mature contribution of Srila Vyasadeva. Canto 2, Chapter 4, the process of creation. Text number 2. Atma Jaya Sutta Agara Ashu Pravana Bandushu Raje cha avikale nityam virudam mamatam chaha atmajaya sitagara ashudravina bandashu raje chavikale nityam virudam mamatam chaha Atmajaya Satagara Asudravina Bandashu Raja Chabi Kale Nityam Rudham Namatam Chaha Atmajaya Satagara Asudravina Bandashu Raja Chabi Kale Nityam Parudam Namatam Chaha
Atmajaya Sitagara Ashutravina Bandushu Raje Chavikale Nityam Rudham Mamatam Jaho
Atmajaya Sutagara Ashudravina Bandushu Raje Chavikale Nitya Virudang Mamatang Jaho Atmajaya Sutagara Ashudravina Bandhusu Rajaya Chavikale Nityam Virudha Mamatam Jaho
Atma Jaya Sutakara Ashudra Vinabandushu Raje Chavikale Nityam Virudam Mamatam Jaho
Jaya Sutagara Ashudravina Bandhushu Atmajaya Sutagara Ashudravina Bandhushu Raje Chavikale Nityam Virudha Mamatam Jaho Atmajaya Sutagrara Ashudravina Bandhushu Raje Chavikale Nityam Virudham Mamatam
Atmajaya Sutagara Pashudravina Bandhushu Raje Chavikale Nityam Virudham Mamatam Jaho
Atmajaya Sutagara Ashudravina Bandhusha
Bandhushu
Raje Chavikale Nityam
Raje Chavikale
Virudham Mamatam Jaham.
Atmanjaya Sadhigara Harasu Daravin Varshu Raja Savakla Natyam Verdam Mamatam Jahu.
Thank you.
Atmajaya Satagara Pashutravina Bandhushu Raje Chavikale Nityam Vidudam Mamatam Jaho.
Atmajaya Sitagara Ashudravina Bandhishu Raje Chavikale Nityam
Raje Chavikale Nityam
Virudham Mamatam Jaho.
Atmajaya Sutagara
Atmajaya
Pashudravina Bandhushu
Ashudravina Bandhushu
Raje Chavikale Nityam Virudham Mamatam
Atmajaya Sutagara
Atmajaya Sutagara
Pashudravina Bandhushu Raje Chavikale Nityam
Raje Chavikale Nityam
Virudham Mamatam Jaho.
Atma body Jaya wife Sutta son Agara palace Ashu horses and elephants Dravina treasury house Bandhushu only friends and relatives Raje in the kingdom Cha also Abhikale without being disturbed Nityam constant Parudham deep rooted Mamatam affinity Jahal gave up. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Maharaj Pariksit, as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up all deep-rooted affection for his personal body, wife, children, palace, animals, horses, and elephants, treasury house, friends and relatives, and his undisputed kingdom. Report. To become liberated means to become free from Dehatma Buddhi, the illusory attachment for personal bodily coverings and everything connected with the body, namely the wife, children, and all other entanglements. One selects a wife for bodily comforts, and the result is children. For wife and children, one requires a dwelling place, and as such, the residential house is also necessary. The animals, like horses, elephants, cows, dogs, etc., are all household animals, and the householder has to keep them as household paraphernalia. In the modern civilization, the horses and elephants have been replaced by cars and conveyances with considerable horsepower. To maintain all the household affairs, one has to increase the bank balance and be careful about the treasury house. And in order to display the opulence of material assets, one has to keep good relations with friends and relatives, as well as become very careful about maintaining the status quo. Jai, Shri Gornitai. This is called material civilization or material attachment. Devotion for Lord Krishna means negation of all material attachments as detailed above. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Maharaj Pariksit was awarded all material amenities and an undisputed kingdom to enjoy the undisturbed position of king. But by the grace of the Lord, he was able to give up all connection with material attachment. That is the position of a pure devotee. Maharaj Pariksit, due to his natural affection for Lord Krishna, as a devotee of the Lord, was always executing his royal duties on behalf of the Lord. And as a responsible king of the world, he was always careful to see that the influence of Kali would not enter his kingdom. A devotee of the Lord never thinks of his household paraphernalia as his own, but surrenders everything for the service of the Lord. Thereby, living entities under devotees' care get the opportunity for God realization by the management of a devotee master. Attachment for household paraphernalia and for Lord Krishna go poorly together. One attachment is the path of darkness, and the other attachment is the path of light. Where there is light, there is no darkness. And where there's darkness, there's no light. But an expert devotee can turn everything to the path of light by service attitude of the Lord. And the best example here is the Pandavas. Maharaj Yudhisthira and householders like him can turn everything into light by dovetailing the so-called material assets in the service of the Lord. One who is not trained up or is unable to turn everything to the service of the Lord, Nibbanda Krishna Sambandha, must give up all material connection before he can be fit to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. Or in other words, one who has seriously heard Srimad-Bhagavatam for one day even, like Maharaj Pariksit, from a fit personality like Shukadev Goswami, may be able to lose all affinity for material things. There's no utility simply in imitating Maharaj Pariksit and hearing Bhagavatam from professional men, even for 700 years. To take Srimad-Bhagavatam as a means of maintaining family expenditure is the grossest type of namaparad, offense at the feet of the Lord. Savar Shubha Kriya Samyam Apis Pramada. Your Holiness, Honorable Goswami, we're always anxious to hear your thoughts on Srimad-Bhagavatam.
The attachment to these things is called illusory, to family, to the body, begins with the body, because one thinks that he is the body. And everyone thinks that. The animals think that. Animal thinks I'm a dog and I bark. And another animal thinks I'm a cat and I catch mice and I do my things that cats do. But this is not correct, because actually we're not these bodies. We are the spirit soul that is connected with Krishna in the spiritual world. That's our position. But this material consideration is like a dream. As we have nighttime dreams, and in the nighttime, one forgets all about his body that he had during the day. For example, when one gets old, he has an old body, but when he dreams, he might have a young body. So he's thinking, I'm doing these things with a young body, which no longer exists. But he's still dreaming. He's in illusion. So dreaming means to hallucinate and even to be deluded. One thinks he really is the body. When they say a person is under delusion, it means he's taking something false as reality. And even though others tell him that there's no people over there, you're talking to people, there's no one there, still he thinks there are people there. This is delusion. So it's very serious psychological defect that we think we are this body, even though the Vedas and the saintly person say, no, you're not. You're not this body. You're not American. You're not Indian. You're not male. You're not female. You're not young. You're not old. You are Gopi Bharatur Parakamalaya Dasa Dasa Dasa. Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, he denied even being a sannyasi. He said, I'm not a sannyasi, I'm not a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra. I'm the servant of Krishna. So that's when one wakes up. Uttishtata jagrita prapya virannabodhita. Vedas say that you have to wake up, sleeping soul. How long will you remain in this illusion, thinking that you're this body? And when he changes body, amazingly, he forgets all about the previous body and identity. Even if he was a professor in his previous life and quite learned and honored, good position, when he changes his body, according to his karma, he may become a dog. He forgets all about. So it is illusion. It's a daytime dream. So a person who's serious about achieving something worthwhile in human life has to understand this from the very beginning, that you're not this body, you're eternal spirit soul, and here's how a spiritual soul is supposed to act. So when he's guided by a bona fide spiritual master and the Vedas and the association of Vaishnavas, he gives up this dreaming, sleeping darkness, and he comes alive. That's real life, beginning of life. Therefore, we say that when one becomes initiated, it's a second birth. His real birth is actually the second one, because everyone gets birth as in father and mother. Every species of life gets father and mother. But only in the human form of life can one get Guru and Krishna, Guru in service to Krishna. Therefore, if one wants to utilize his life properly, he should not worry so much about bank balance. And at the same time, he can't be just irresponsible, just go off and think that that's the perfection of life, wandering around with imitating Shukadeva Goswami, wandering around without clothes on. No, that's not the goal, is to wander around aimlessly. Shukadeva Goswami renounced everything because he wasn't interested at all. But that's a position that can't be imitated. Unless one is Paramahansa, very advanced first-class devotee, he can't follow that, going around and not wearing proper dress. Otherwise, he has to dress like an ordinary person, but in his heart, like Raghunath Das Goswami, he was from a very wealthy family. And he wanted to go and join Lord Chaitanya, but the family wanted him to stay. So Lord Chaitanya said, you can stay and act like a householder, but in your heart, you do everything in service to Krishna. That is a great art. And the comparison is given of a wife who's not faithful to her husband. She has a paramour. So she doesn't want anyone to know about her paramour. But yet, so she does her duties household duties very carefully. So no one will know that she's got something else going on. But actually in her mind, she's simply thinking of the paramour. That's an example of how one can live in the material world, and everyone will think that he's performing his duties to the world, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was expert in all his material duties also. He made his material duties into spiritual duties. For example, the magistrate, he was the magistrate of the area. And it just so happened that whoever was the magistrate became the manager, the head manager of the Jagannath temple in Puri. So he took charge of the temple. And he lived in Puri, he lived right on the main road. And his son was born there, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And they participated in Jagannath Rath Yatra every day. So he made his life Krishnized. Even though he was having children, he had wife, he had expenditures. So it can be done. And if one is stationed in household life, he doesn't have to suddenly, artificially renounce everything and run off to the woods. Better, as Lord Chaitanya said, one can stay at home and hear about Krishna, give up speculation, associate with the devotees, and become perfect in his life that way.
Thank you very much. To Shripad Sankaracharya, to enter the spiritual life, one has to adopt the renounced order of life, sannyas. But the bhakti call is so powerful that in any position, one can chant the holy names of the Lord and advance very nicely in Krishna consciousness. And in Vedic civilization, we see from the life of Maharaj Pariksit, although he was born in a royal family, when the time was right, he renounced everything because he was not afraid of death. The devotee is so exalted that he has no fear of death because he knows, I'm not this body. Even the Gyanis also, they become self-realized. Like Socrates, he was offered hemlock, and he accepted the hemlock. This is deadly poison because he knew that this hemlock cannot kill me because I'm not this body. So after many years of the process of mental speculation, if one is intelligent, any intelligent man can realize, I'm not this body. I'm something different from this body. Generally, that's a process of neti. I'm not this arm, I'm not this blood, I'm not this bones, I'm not this hair. When I cut my hair, there's no loss. And if I pass stool, I don't lament, no, I've lost part of my body. No, because I know I'm different from the stool, I'm different from this blood. these bodily elements are not me. This body is constantly changing, but I'm not changing. So the science of self-realization means to understand who I am. I'm not matter. I'm spirit soul. I'm eternal. Why am I suffering? I'm not meant to suffer. I'm meant to live eternally in full bliss and knowledge. So this Krishna consciousness movement is an educational movement to teach humanity self-realization, that I'm eternal, servant of the servant of the servant, at the times of Raj. And Maharaj Pariksit, his kingdom was not a small piece of land, rather his kingdom was all 7 continents. In those days, all the Rajarsis up to the time of Maharaj Pariksit, they were ruling the whole world. And when the time was right, generally after the age of 50 years, they left home and concentrated their minds at the lotus feet of the Lord and attaining the highest perfection of life. In history of India, there are many kings like that, many kings. So this is the Vedic civilization, not to remain a householder for all one's days, but before death comes, one should become detached from household life and concentrate one's mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. And many devotees of Lord Chaitanya, they were householders, like Lord Nityananda, he was householder. Shivas, he was householder. Gadadhar, he was householder. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also married twice. His first wife died. So there was no impediment for executing Krishna consciousness in any status of life. And the duty of the householders is to, by all means, try to train their children in Krishna consciousness and set a good example for their children. And if the mother and father teach their children about Krishna and they set a good example, then that's the best thing they could do for their children. Of course, the children have to be fed and clothed, but in human form of life, the most important responsibility is to somehow or other always think of Krishna and never forget Krishna. And in the last paragraph in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very nicely writes that one can hear Bhagavatam from the professional Bhagavatam reciters for 700 years. And the person could speak on Bhagavatam for 700 years, but if he's not a devotee, if he's not dedicated his life for Krishna, then hearing from him is useless. He remains in the same position even after 700 years of Srimad-Bhagavatam. So we're very fortunate to have this Srimad-Bhagavatam as it is, and Bhagavad Gita as it is, in the full authority of the Parampara coming directly from Lord Krishna. So this Bhagavatam can give light to the whole world. So in the Vedic culture, monarchy like that of Maharaj Pariksit is recommended. And Prabhupada said that democracy means government of the demons, the demon crazy. We see that in democracies all over the world, even in America now, the democracy here has so many problems. There's so much crime, pollution, corruption, environmental degradation, because Krishna is not the center. God is not the center. But as soon as the monarchs thought that my kingdom is my own, then the monarchy was lost, and monarchies all over the world are overthrown. But in the Vedic culture, the monarchs are trained as representatives of God. Jai Shri Shri Gauranatai. In the British, in the Constitution of the United Kingdom, the king is regarded as representative of God. So this is the position of the monarch. He must dedicate his life in serving God, and he should instruct the citizens on the principles of God consciousness. And what is the best service to the citizens? Recently, there was the coronation in UK yesterday, or I'm sorry, Saturday, and the new monarch, King Charles III, he pledged his life for serving all the citizens of the United Kingdom. But without God consciousness, without knowing one's position as a servant of God, it's not possible to serve the citizens just by watering the leaves of the tree. Without watering the root, the tree will eventually die. And by not supplying food to the stomach, the body will eventually die. So the Krishna consciousness is very important, because serving Krishna means serving all living entities. By serving Krishna, all living entities become satisfied. And if this principle of Srimad-Bhagavatam is adopted all over the world, there'll be peace and prosperity all over the world. Thank you very much for hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam. Any comments or questions? Yes, Jagannath Prabhu.
So why can't we know Krishna fully if the spiritual world is full of knowledge? I was just asking you, why can't we know Krishna fully if the spiritual world is full of knowledge?
Because Krishna is achintya, Krishna is inconceivable, and Krishna is unlimited, and no one can know Krishna fully. Even Krishna himself doesn't know himself fully, because Krishna is ever expanding. All his glories and potencies are ever expanding, ever increasing. So it's not possible to know Krishna completely. But we can develop our love for Krishna, and that's the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement, is to develop love of God, which is the highest goal of life. Yes, Bhanavi Maharaj.
When the father becomes pleased with his son, when he's convinced that the son is qualified, then he reveals more and more secrets about himself. If a son is not responsible, frivolous, and not qualified, then the father doesn't reveal so much. But when he sees that this son is capable of taking all this knowledge, all the secrets I'm giving him, he'll be able to use them properly. Then he gives all the knowledge. So, Tadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamamo Piyantate. Tesham Satyayuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. As one serves the Lord faithfully, then the Lord will reveal more.
Bhanavi Maharaj, thank you very much. It's time for Sankirtan Festival. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
So we'll announce the book distribution scores for this week for the pleasure of the assembled devotees, the Sampradaya Acharyas, Sri Sri Gauranitai, and Srila Prabhupada. So for this week, we had 6 book distributors. Haribo. In 6th position with 1 big book for a total of 1 book point, Krishna Bhagavan Prabhu.
Haribo.
In 5th position with 1 medium book, 3 big books, 1 Maha big book for a total of 5.5 book points, Magadari Prabhu.
Haribo.
In 4th position with 1 small book, 3 medium books, 2 Maha big books for a total of 5.75 book points, Radha Stali Devidasi.
Haribo.
In 3rd position with 4 small books, 3 Maha big books for a total of 7 book points, Jai Keshava Prabhu. Haribo. In 2nd position with 29 small books, 6 medium books, 26 big books, and 16 Maha big books for a total of 68.25 book points, Rishi Kumar Das. Hare Krishna. And in 1st position with 20 small books, 12 medium books, 26 big books, and 30 Maha big books for a total of 97 book points, Krishnandu Prabhu.
Haribo.
And we'll give a temple total just after some Sankirtan highlights. Can you share a highlight with us from this week?
We went to a few universities and it was really slow. So I tried to put an emphasis on preaching more to the people, especially after they grabbed a book and gave a donation. Then I figured I would tell them as much as I could in that short period of time. But there was one guy who came, one young student, and he was very inquisitive and he just kept asking questions. And he would keep asking questions and keep asking questions. And then other people would come and I would have to, serve them. And he would sit there and wait. And he must have been there for, I don't know, an hour and a half. I think I told him pretty much the whole philosophy. And he was excited to go read the Bhagavad Gita. And he chanted Hare Krishna with me before he left.
Hare Sangha ki jai.
A highlight from this week, we went to El Rancho, the Spanish grocery store. And there's one that a devotee named Mishra Bhagavan in Dallas goes to often. We wanted to go to that one because it's busy, but we went to a different one by accident and there weren't so many people. So we just went inside of it to give out the books. And we were asking around for the manager to give him the books as one of the first people to get them. And he wasn't there. The security guard told us, he said his name is Juan and he should be back soon. So we were just giving them to everyone in the store. And then Juan came out of the back right when we were by the back door of the grocery store. And he came right up to us and he looked happy. And we started showing him the books and he was so interested and he was really humble. He said, I'm really in ignorance about all of this, but I want to know more. And I'm interested in all of this. And he asked for some more books for his friends. And he gave us his number. He said if we'd ever be around or anything to let him know. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
So about the First Friday celebration downtown that they have for all the vendors and stuff, we went there and did a really nice kirtan. And I remember one gentleman I distributed a book to, he asked how we dance because he was dancing to the kirtan. He asked how he danced, and I showed him the Swami step, and we did the Swami step together in front of a really nice kirtan. Transcendental Book Distribution Key.
My highlight is from the first Friday kirtan. Let's see. One highlight is we were on our way back to our car after the end of our kirtan, and I saw this lady with the symbol Om on her hat. And so I immediately called on her and I said, "Hey, I love your hat." And she was like, "Oh, thank you." And I was like, "Do you know about yoga?" And so we started talking about that. And I handed her the Bhagavad Gita, and she was so intrigued, like, "Wow, like, oh, okay, like, I can't wait to read this." And she's like, but it's your copy, and I don't want to just take it from you. And I was like, no, this is what we do. Like, we were going around sharing these books. And she was like, "I don't have any money." And the guy next to her was like, I have some ganja. Like, do you guys smoke ganja? And I was like, "No, we don't." And I just told her, like, this is what we do. Like, we don't take intoxicants. And then I thought about it. I'm like, "Yeah, give it to me, and you could keep the book." And he was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." So he took it, and then we buried it. And Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
Well, so we had some awesome guests come to the Sunday festival, and they were participating in all the different activities. And then it's nice to speak to them as they're going to go and make sure that they have our books. So actually, I spoke with Bill. He's here. And I showed him the Bhagavad Gita, and him and his friend were interested in that. And he gave a donation for all the things that he participated in. And I gave him some of the books, Bhagavad Gita and Queen Kunti, and some other books. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
There was one lady that came to the festival yesterday. I believe her name was Lila, but she lives about 2 hours east of here in a small town, and she looked up the temple online, and she's interested in Buddhism and other temples and things like that. So she came and she had a good time, and I spoke to her as she was leaving because nobody was able to sit with her and speak to her. And then I showed her some books, and I said, "You can take whatever you like. We just ask a donation." And she said she wanted to look a little bit on her own, and then she would give a donation to me. So she was looking, and then she just came up to me when she was about to leave and gave me a donation of $40 for the festival. And she said, I don't want to book this time, but I'll get one next time." And I said, "Well, let me give you a gift at least." And then she said, "Okay, it's okay. It's okay." And then I said, no, you can't leave without a gift. It's funny because I made that point in the class. Like if there's somebody wants to reciprocate with you, like Lorna Shringadev wanted to reciprocate with Prahlad, but Prahlad was like, no, I don't want anything. I don't want anything. But out of love, Prahlad accepted. Okay, I'll ask for something. So it was an interesting, like, I think we both realized, hey, we talked about this in the class. So she was open to accepting
because I wanted to give the book to her. So she said, "Oh, you're going to choose," and I just chose hardback Science of Self-Realization and gave it to her, and she was happy and said she wanted to come back. Transcendental Book Distribution key. Yeah.
So the total for this week is 44 small books, 22 medium books, 56 big books, 52 Maha big books, for a total of 184.5 book points. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.